Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca Stu and the Crew. I'm Rebecca, and today we're going to be doing a Dollar Tree DIY, and we'll do a review for this new product that they just put out this week. So the first thing we're going to do is go over the supplies for the craft we'll do today. The supplies we're going to need are these two 6-inch wood circles that come in a 2-pack from the Dollar Tree. Also, we'll need some paint, a paintbrush, some wood ovals or foam board, either one will do. And then we're also going to need something to cut through the wood sticks and these hat ornaments from Walmart. If you don't have the hat ornaments from Walmart, you can also use a wine bag from Dollar Tree. We'll need some felt and one of these mini tree skirts. I'm also going to be using one of these snowflake towels from Dollar Tree and some craft sticks. We'll need one of these cat scratch boards, a piece of ready foam board, just a small piece will do. Also, we'll need these 5 LED icicle lights and the 6-pack of ornaments. I'm going to use a razor blade, some scissors, and some hot glue. We'll need one of these embossing tools and some floral wire, and then this lightweight spackle. So let's get crafty. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this lightweight spackle from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to fill in the little holes that are on the sides of these wood tags. So I got these at Dollar Tree about 6 months ago. They had these tags, and you can, DIY them. It came in a 4-pack, so I have just enough to create this project. If you can't find the wood ovals, they don't carry them all the time, you could just cut some ovals out of the foam board. We're going to be using that ready foam board for some 3D effects in this craft video, but we're just going to fill in these holes and make it smooth so we can paint over the little spaces here. We won't see the holes there. Now we're going to take the 6-inch wood circle and we're just going to trace it onto a piece of paper with our pencil. And I'm doing this so I can create a template of how I want my snowman to look. I'm just going to draw on the face and then the nose and the mouth. If you want the template to draw this, it's going to be in the description box below. I'll create a Google Doc so you guys could just click on the link and you can download the face and print it yourself. So you'll be able to trace it and use it in your project if you choose to make one of these as well. And as you can see, my little kitten Monchichi is helping me draw. He really wanted to attack this pencil. It was funny. He was having a good time. So now we're going to trace the eyes, the carrot nose onto the foam board, or you can draw it directly onto the wood circle. You don't have to use foam board. I just wanted to have some 3D effects, which is why I'm using the foam board. So once you have the nose and the eyes drawn on the foam board, you can go ahead and cut those out with your X-Acto knife. Then I took my embossing tool and I just lightly rub a few little lines into the carrot to make these grooves so it looks a lot more realistic when we paint it, because we'll have this little design that pops up. And I'll do the same to both carrots. I'm just doing them on opposite sides because I want my snowmen to be facing each other. So when I paint these or draw on them, I'm mindful of which way the direction is of each piece because I know that they're going to be facing opposite directions. So now we'll take our orange paint and we're just going to paint the edges and the side that we use the embossing tool on. And then we'll go ahead and let these dry. Then we're going to go ahead and paint the eyes. And we're going to have 2 pairs of eyes. I'm going to paint the very top portion white. And then we will, at first I painted the edge white as well, but then I ended up going back in later and just covering the edges with the black paint because I wanted it to stand out more and look like it had a bit of an outline around the eyes when it was on the snowman. So we'll just do the front portion, the very top, and then go ahead and with your black paint and paint the bottom portion. And as you can see, I've got the little like pupils drawn in with a pencil. If you draw that in with a pencil and just use regular acrylic paint, you should still be able to see those dots where you drew them in. So you'll be able to add the white dots later on. But while the eyes are drying, I went back in with the carrots and I added some details to those grooves that I made with some white paint. I'm just very lightly brushing the white paint on and then taking pretty much like a dry brush and just painting a tiny little bit on the edges to help them stand out. Then I'll take my embossing tool and dip that in the white paint, and I'm doing the pupils of the eyeballs by just dipping it in the paint and creating these little circles. And again, these are going to be facing opposite directions, so I'm mindful of that when I paint the pupils on the eyes. So now the wood ovals that we filled in the little holes earlier, we're going to go ahead and paint these. These are going to be the feet to the snowman. So I did 2 coats of white paint. I let that dry in between. And then I'm taking a very light shade of blue acrylic paint from Dollar Tree. It was in the nautical section over the summer. And I'll take some white paint, mix that together, and just do a very light blue paint. And we're going to do some trim around the outside edge here of the ovals. And that's just going to help give it more detail and look more, less like a wood circle than and a little bit more like the feet, because we're adding some shadows and some details. I went back in with some darker blue paint and added just some little squiggly lines for like a, cartoonish style decoration. And I'll do that to all 4 feet. And once it's dry, we're going to add a little tiny bit of light gray paint as well. So now for the larger circles, while everything is drying, we're going to go ahead and paint those white. We're basically doing the same thing that we did to the feet, we're going to do for the body. The only difference is we're not going to do that little squiggly line with the dark blue paint. We're going to go in with the white paint. I ended up doing 2 full coats. I let that dry, and then it was still a tad bit wet, just a tiny little bit, and I put that light blue paint on the brush, and I just go all the way around the circle. And then on one side, I put the blue line a little bit thicker, about 1 inch, kind of like at an arc. And that's just to add a shadow. So then I go in with the light gray paint and add a tiny little bit of that on the side with the thicker shadow. And that will be like the back of the snowman. And his face will be over on the opposite side where it's a little bit more white. So I'm just adding these shadow details to help make them look like they're facing, instead of facing like straight forward, that they're facing towards the center. So I'll do the same thing to the other circle, just the opposite direction. And now that the feet are dry, I'm adding the light gray details to the feet. It's just basically a thin gray line around the inside portion of about 3/4 of the circle. You don't have to go all the way around. Just put that little gray line the direction that the feet are facing. So now we're going to go ahead and glue the feet together just using some hot glue. And then we'll glue the body on. Now I did mark this with a pencil before I glue it on. That way I know where to put the glue and how much of the feet and things I want to have showing. And you can add more glue to the back if you need to. So as you can see, I just kind of have it laid out, and then I write on it with my pencil here the little lines, and now I know where to put my glue. So I'll add a little bit of glue to the bottom here. I'll glue the 2 feet together, and then I know where to put the glue, and then I just line the body up right against that pencil line. It's perfect. And as you can see, I have the shadows for each of the snowballs facing opposite directions. So now that it's dry, you can see it a little bit better, how one side's a little thicker than the other. Okay, so now I'm going to take this ornament from Dollar Tree. I'm going to just cut off the little tag here at the top. And then I want to add like that fluffy brim to the hat. I didn't have anything that I could really use, so I decided to just take this Dollar Tree skirt, and I'm going to rip the hem and just keep pulling at the stitching and I'll be able to pull this whole entire fluffy border off of the skirt. And we can use that for our hats and for the trim around the gloves. So you can use scissors as well and just nip it. And now to add some stability to the hat, I decided to take a pipe cleaner or Chanel stem, and we're just going to create this oval and glue it inside the hat. You want to be careful you don't glue the hat closed because we're going to be adding this to the snowball, and you'll want it to be, over the snowball so it looks like he's wearing it and it's not just sitting on top. I want to be able to see the hat from the back, and then just slide it over top of the circle and glue it on both sides. Then go ahead and take that furry trim we just pulled off the tree skirt and open it up, and then add a little bit of glue and start gluing it on. So I start in the back and I just add a little bit of glue at a time and just keep working my way around. And this helps hide that the hat doesn't fit 100% over the circle because it's just a tad bit smaller than what the circle is. So we'll cut off the excess and glue the end down. And then you can go ahead and scrunch up the hat a little bit with those pipe cleaners. And now the eyes and the nose are dry. We're going to go ahead and just glue those on. Now you can go ahead and paint the eyes and the nose directly onto the snowball. You don't have to use the foam board. I just like the 3D effect. I thought it was cute, and that's why I chose to do it the way I did it. But again, you can just go ahead and paint it right onto the snowman here. So I do that with the nose, the mouth. I just go ahead and add the the eyebrows and some little details under the eyes, and then the mouth with the acrylic paint right on the wood circle. So it's really up to you, it's just personal preference. And we'll go ahead and add our little smiley face. And that's what it looks like all done for the first one. So now you can make a hat out of a wine bag from Dollar Tree if you don't have that hat from Walmart. So as you can see, I'm just going to trace the hat that I did buy onto a piece of paper here. So I'm going to make a template out of it for you guys. And again, there's going to be another Google Doc that you can use to print out, and it will be the full size of the hat that you'll need for the wood circle. So that's in the description box below. So I just draw out this template for you guys, and then I'm just going to actually use the actual ornament as my template here. So I didn't want to cut this out. I wanted to have it for you guys so I could put it in the link for the template down in the description box below. Okay, so we're going to take that wine bag and we're going to lay the hat on top, and then we'll trace around it with our pencil. You can lay it either direction. It's really up to you. I decided to go ahead and lay mine sideways, and then the top of the hat was right on that edge for the seam. I'll take my scissors and I'm going to cut around, but I'm going to leave that top portion connected. I'm not going to cut through that. So then go ahead and rip the seam apart on the end and just pull all that stitching out. And then you can go ahead and clean up some of the loose strings and get rid of those just so they're out of the way. So now that the hat is inside out, we're just going to take that hem and we're going to actually fold it and hot glue it down so we have a nice edge. Just add a very small thin piece of glue and then glue those ends down. Now flip the hat the opposite direction and you're going to do some hot glue on the edges and then fold the hat over, and you just glued your hat together, and the top, like I said, it's connected because you never cut through the stitching at the top. So now we're going to cut the drawstring out of the top of the bag, and this will be the little strings that are hanging down on each side of the hat. So you just need half of that string. You don't need all of it. And I just tied a knot on both ends. And then I cut that ribbon in half and we'll glue it to the sides of the hat. So go ahead and glue that on both sides. And then once the glue is dry, go ahead and fold your hat back the correct way, and you can add a pom-pom to the top, and you can use the wine bag, the fluffy white part, to do the trim of the hat. Very, very easy. It took me about 3 or 4 minutes to create this hat, and then you have one just like the ornament from Walmart. But the ones from Walmart, they're 99 cents, so if you see them, you could grab those as well. So now we're going to go ahead and take these craft sticks that were painted white, and we're just going to cut them in half. And these are going to be the arms. I made a small template for a glove or a mitten, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw that onto the felt and cut those out. And we'll need 4 of these felt pieces, so we can have 2 for each arm. And I just glue those onto the craft stick. And then I clean up the edges if it looks a little rough. I just want to make sure that they match completely. Then I'll take the trim from the hat or the tree skirt, and I actually trim that down, make it a little bit thinner, and then I glue that around the cuff of the mitten to add that furry end to the end piece here. And it really just helps add it to the stick and just looks better. So again, we're going to glue the felt to the stick. So it's on both sides, and take the tree skirt trim, and we're actually going to cut it down so it's a little bit thinner and just glue that to the end of the glove. And perfect. So now we're going to glue the arms with the thumbs facing up. The arms that are pointing near the center of the display, we're going to glue those behind the snowman, and then the arms on the opposite side we'll glue in the front, just like you see here. And I kind of have them angled down. And then we'll take some more craft sticks, cut those in half, and you're going to measure how deep the cat scratch board is. It's about 1/2 inch to 1 inch tall, and you're just going to glue the stick so you have about 1 inch. You want these sticks to go all the way to the bottom of the display, so you're just going to glue those to the back of your snowman. So now take your cat scratch board and the towel, and you're just going to wrap it like a gift, and the glue is like the tape, so you just keep wrapping it and gluing all the way around. You can cut the excess off if you need to. And then fold the ends in just like a gift as well. Now take your snowman and decide where you want it in your display. Draw the lines where the sticks are at, and then cut the little holes with the X-Acto knife. Add some glue, and then slide him right down into the display. And now as you push him down in there, it picks up the glue and helps hold him in place. And we'll put one snowman on each side. And then I add a little bit more glue to the back to make sure that they're in there and they're not going to come out. Now I'm taking my icicle lights, and I'm going to glue the battery door to the back of one of the snowmen. Make sure that the battery door is facing out so you can change the batteries if you need to. So now we're going to take those icicle lights, and we're going to start gluing them into the hands of the snowman so it looks like they're decorating their tree. So I just hold the icicle lights in place until they are dry, and I know that they're not going to slide. Now what's nice about using that white and silver towel as the cover for the base is the cord to this icicle light string here is kind of like a silver color, and so it blends right in. You can't really see it at all once you have it all glued down to all of the snowmen. So now I'm going to build my icicle tree, and I am going to use all 6 icicles, and I glue the top into the base of the display. So I'm just doing the same thing I did with the craft sticks. I'm cutting a hole with the X-Acto knife, and then I add a little bit of glue before I put the icicle in, so it will grab that glue and hold it down into the display as I push it down inside. So I'm going to start with 4 icicles. I'm going to basically do a plus sign. So you do 2 on the one side facing each other, and then 2 on the opposite side, and then you pull all the tops together with some hot glue. Now you do have to hold these in place while they're drying because you're trying to pull them into an angle so it creates a Christmas tree. And again, I used all 6 icicle lights, and you attach them at the top with some glue, and then I used some floral wire to attach them at the top. And I'm using silver just because it helped it to blend in and wasn't as noticeable. So I first tie the first 4 together with that wire, and then I add 2 more icicle lights to the front at an angle just to fill in the gaps a little bit. And then again, some more hot glue, and then a tiny little bit more wire. I made a very simple white bow out of some ribbon, and I glue that to the top of the tree. And this is our little snowman display. So there's lots of steps, but they're actually really easy to do. It's just a little bit time consuming to make this craft here, which is why I'm just doing this one craft this week. So there were a lot of steps to it, and I didn't want to overwhelm anyone who's just starting out crafting and wanting to follow along and make one of these displays as well. But I just love the way it turned out. It's about 1 foot long and about 10 inches tall. So it's a cute size. So now for our product review, we're going to see how these iron-on transfers work from Dollar Tree. They're new. It's like a foil transfer. So the supplies you'll need for our second project here will be the iron-on transfer sheets. We're also going to need a regular household iron, and you'll need a cotton t-shirt and some parchment paper. So let's get crafty. The first thing we're going to do is it says to lay the shiny side down. So this is very unclear. If I did not have this one here with the words, I wouldn't know which direction because they're shiny on both sides. So it's not really clear in the directions because as you can see here, if you do like the cheetah spots or the moon and stars, it's not obvious which way would be the top because they're both shiny. If I glue this upside down, I know the words will be backwards. So that's the only reason why I know not to iron or glue it down in that direction. So that's how I figured out which direction to use the transfers. So that was kind of a downfall I saw in the directions. It just wasn't clear. So now you take a piece of parchment paper and it says to push down really hard and to use the hottest setting you can for your fabric. So I have this on the highest cotton setting because this shirt is 100% cotton. It says to keep moving the iron and push down firmly for 45 to 60 seconds. So I do a full 60 seconds. And then when I started to pull it off, I noticed that the foil for the letter R had not completely stuck down. So I laid the sheet back down. I didn't finish pulling it off. I just laid it right back down since it was still glued down in some spots. And I went back over it with the iron, and that seemed to do the trick for the larger transfer here. So it says to let it cool completely before you remove the carrier sheet, which is the top paper that we're going to peel off. So I let it cool, and then I did peel it off once I fixed the letter R. And it felt stuck in a few spots, but I did get it to come off and it looked really nice. So this is just a black 100% cotton Gildan brand t-shirt. So now I'm going to take another Gildan shirt. This is a long sleeve shirt, and I'm going to just go ahead and glue the like stars and constellations down the sleeve. Now it's the same style shirt, same material. And all I do is I cut apart the moon, the stars, and I glue it down the center of the sleeve. And I know which direction to put the transfers because I figured it out with the roller skate one. I know that the gold shiny side needs to be facing up and the shiny silver side will be facing down towards the shirt. So then I cover it in parchment paper and I work on each section. Now this one just showed up a little different. The ends curled up really bad for some reason. I don't know if it's because I cut the sheet up and then some of it ended up like melting and creating these bubbles. I have the same heat temperature at the same time. The only difference was I cut it apart, but it seems like you are almost meant to cut it apart. Now the first one peeled off fairly well. Then others did not want to come off. So I really tried. I was like, okay, well, it's stuck. It's not coming up. Maybe I need to iron it again. So again, I used the same pressure and I go over it for about 30 seconds this time, let it cool, try to remove it. It still won't come off. So then I tried to pull some of the pieces off and just cut off the pieces that did. And I left the gold sheet behind where it had not come off yet or was still stuck to the shirt. And then I ironed it again. It still wouldn't come off, so I ended up just pulling them off. And then I used my heat press instead of the iron, and it worked a little bit better. But as you can see, it just left a lot of glue spots. It didn't want to come up. It just was stuck to the shirt. But unlike the larger one that worked, I really didn't like the smaller version. So my thoughts, I was not impressed. I would not buy this again. The large image worked, but it took more time, more heat, more pressure than they explained. The directions were unclear. The smaller image would stick without, which is using the regular iron, and only about half of the sheet worked when I used the heat press that I have. So I would not buy this product again. I hope you guys enjoyed this DIY craft and the review of this new Dollar Tree product, and I wish you all happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for our new Dollar Tree video.